This week, we're going to have a lot to say, and we're going to have a lot of attitude to go with it. Also, coming this Saturday with the first quarter moon, we're running into some roadblocks. They're crisis points that are designed to push us to choose a new direction. And what's with all this interest lately being stirred up about the dark side of the moon? I'm going to tell you more about that. So welcome. I'm glad you're listening. And this is Judith Royal. I'm an archetypal astrologer. And this is your astrology weather forecast for the week of Monday, December the 10th to Sunday, the 16th, 2018. Have you noticed that the week after the new moon and before the first quarter moon, in other words, this week, there is always a laser-like focus that takes us inward. And it seems to me that the busyness of the outer world slacks off just a little bit. I notice my calendar's not quite as jammed. And we have the first quarter moon turning point this Saturday, December 15th, and this is going to be in the sign of compassionate Pisces. So what are we called to do differently, and what kind of new direction might we take? Well, this is going to be about getting help with empathy, that beautiful ability we have to reach out to other people through our intuitive senses, which are going to be exquisitely tuned to one another. So like the oceans of Pisces, we're going to be able to cross all those barriers that might otherwise stand between us with the kind of emotional power that the ocean's waters have. You know, they just flow across 70% of the Earth's surface and easily transverse barriers. We always want to be watching the archetypal stage, that is, that mirroring from the heavens of what we're up to here on the Earth. And so I watch sometimes for the headlines just what kind of event might be showing up that shows us the archetype that we have right this minute. So there was an interest in the news this past week, right at that new moon we had in adventurous and zealous Sagittarius. We had that same day an announcement from the Chinese that they have launched a rocket that is going to stir up some lunar dust because they're looking to do a soft landing on the dark side of the moon. And they may get there just in time for a very important new moon eclipse in Capricorn. That's going to come on January 5th, 2019. So what's interesting to me, and I hope to you, about this is that the dark side of the moon has had a lot of mysterious energy attached to it for a long time, but I think now we're just going to see it's, number one, not a dark side, it's just a far side because the sun is actually shining there. But it's as though we don't get to see that part of the moon or see that part of ourselves because the moon, because of a phenomenon called tidal locking, she's always showing us only one side of herself, one face towards us as she dances around us. And that's because the moon and the earth are locked in a synchronous rotation. It's sort of like being perfectly in step for an endless waltz. It's very, very beautiful. And we've done without knowing what's on the other side for a very, very long time. So I believe this is an archetypal message that we are willing to see inner, to see deeply inside ourselves to those dark sides, those dark corners that we thought we should keep hidden because maybe there's some boogeyman there. Usually it's things that we've buried out of guilt and fear. And now we're going to touch those spots. We're going to land on them, as it were, stir up the old dust, the ancient beliefs, because with this Sagittarius energy we have right now, that's the truth teller. And it is without, well, it's about attitude rather than facts. And so logic is not the thing of the moon, right? With the moon, the thing is intuition. It is empathy. And so I think we're going to free up an entire side of ourselves that we haven't tapped the power of in a very long time, if ever, in our lives. So that's the move towards wholeness that comes to us with this current beautiful journey we're making to understand and to really know that we are all one. We are really going to unify and see the unity of all of us on this beautiful planet. I'm talking about also the fact that Messenger Mercury this week, this Wednesday, December the 12th, moves into fiery Sagittarius, and we'll meet up with the sun, who's still there. And we get this strenuous exercise of our higher minds between now and January 4th. And this is happening in this first week of Mercury back into forward gear. So we are really ready to tell it like it is. We're really ready to hear it like it truly is. And the Sagittarius, well, I think it's a gift of this instantaneous blurting out of the truth, even though it bypasses some logic. It grabs the essence of the moment. We can all empathize with that, one of those beautiful archetypes for Mercury and Sagittarius, which is that small child who stood at the side of the road in that lovely tale of the Emperor's New Clothes. And she, inspired by Sagittarius energy, I'm sure, blurted out, "The Emperor has no clothes on." So this is the energy of nakedness, of coming clean with the truth, and having no fear about being seen in our natural state, in the state of who we truly are, naked and vulnerable in this world, where, believe it or not, what we truly want is to be seen. And to be seen not for our clothes, of course, but for who we truly are. This is a big go green light for all of you fire signs, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius, especially Sagittarius, of course, because we now have the Sun, Mercury, and jovial, generous Jupiter in Sagittarius, sort of having those fires stoked even hotter by Uranus, who has been backed up into Aries fire. He's still retrograde and will be for all of December. And for those of you water signs, you're still in very good shape. That's Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. Because, of course, Saturday's first quarter moon is in the waters of Pisces, so you are totally in your element this week, and you still have that lovely compatible support from the earth signs, particularly Capricorn, where Saturn and Pluto are still insisting on the integrity and fairness of a different way to use power rather than abuse power. And air signs, don't despair. You do get some help from an Aquarius moon this week. In fact, we start off Monday with the moon going into Aquarius in the afternoon, having spent the weekend in Capricorn. And she'll stay in Aquarius all of Tuesday and Wednesday, and the morning of Thursday the 13th. So you get a long stretch there where our humanitarian interests and concerns are very high. So you can take advantage of this calmer week that we have. Maybe pull out a book and stimulate some of your ideas. And all of us, we are really defining our ideals, looking at what is realistic in our personal lives. We know that we are terrible eyewitnesses when it comes to using the body's eyes for seeing. But now we have a chance, well, we always do, have a chance to create miracles, which are simply that shift in our perception from fear to love. So I'm practicing right now in my life this idea of seeing only the good in everyone. And sometimes I can do that quite easily, other times it's more of a challenge. But I have found the most marvelous side effect of that is that I can see the good in myself. And the point of all of our seeing, both inner and outer, is to come to forgive ourselves and love ourselves unconditionally while in a body. Now we have a lot on the road ahead that I want to give you a quick heads up about, because this is the holiday season, yes, but there's also some major astrological shifts. So on the road ahead, next week we'll come to that winter solstice, the time when the sun enters Capricorn, December 21st, seeing the light receding and the darkness rising. And that's why we all like to put up all these lights inside our houses and around, because symbolically we know it's a wonderful time for the inner eye. Also on December 21st, the goddess of love is going to make some very beautiful music with visionary Neptune, who is in that famous 13 degrees of Pisces still, and that is the call to the higher love. Venus is in such a compatible relationship with Neptune now. It's sort of the soulmate, the call for the soulmate, where we can feel at one with each other and call for the celebration of the unity of all of us. There is only one of us. And then the very next day, December 22nd, we have an important full moon in that home, sweet home, Cancer. And this gives us the sun in an earth sign, Capricorn, the moon in a water sign, and now you know so much about compatibility of elements that you know this is a very compatible pair, a real chance for peace on earth. Then for Christmas Eve, we will literally find it hard to sleep. It may not be sugar plums that we're dreaming of, but we have a sense of anticipation that is going to be huge. Our minds may have some wild imaginings, but with some discipline, you can imagine the happy dream of living in a world where you are in charge, because in fact you are, and you can make your dreams come true. So, we may on Christmas be a little too heavy on the mashed potatoes and pies because it's going to be a lot of self-indulgence, that laziness. But to me, Sounds like a plan for an afternoon nap. So before you invite too many guests, put too many invitations for your New Year's Eve bash, let me give you a heads up, because December 31st is the day that Warrior Mars is going to move into his home sign of fiery Aries. And, well, you might think this makes for an exciting party, which it definitely does, but this is also sort of uncontainable energies and a lot of impulsiveness that might make for quite a cleanup on New Year's Day. So you'll have to build in some limitations for your fun for New Year's. I'm enjoying the holiday lights when angels appear on lampposts and in the decorations across our streets. And we want to remember always that whatever we call to us with love will come. So now we have to use the power of our minds, the power of our visualization, to see a world in which there is only good and there is only one of us. Thanks for listening, and I'll be back next week. You can always get in touch with me for a reading, personal or couples, at judith@judithroyal.com. Bye for now.